I am Erin Patten, metaphysical master in a millennial age, and it is my life's purpose to guide you and organizations along an enlightened path. So I invite you to sit comfortably and tune in as I welcome you to the Meta Business Millennial, where we get the real conversations you won't get in the boardroom so that we understand this is exactly the path we need to be on in order to grow, evolve, and thrive. Everyone, yes, this is Amber, my childhood friend who is now also a soul healer. This is the Meta Business Millennial. We are here together, and I'm just so excited for the opportunity to talk with you, to reconnect with you, to kind of hear your journey from almost like when we stopped going to our summer conventions together to now.
Yeah.
Because I think oftentimes our childhood, our experiences with each other help to shape who we are, especially on this healing path. So I know our listeners and our followers want to definitely hear from you, our tribe, how you grew up, a little bit about you, where you're from, things like that to start.
Okay. Well, I just want to say I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, Erin. And man, it just like takes us back. When I think of like NDA, our conventions that we went to when we were kids, like those were some of the best times of our life. And people never believe me when I say that I had a really good childhood. I mean, like everybody has their own little traumas that they grew up and stuff like that. But like when I think of my childhood, it was just like I was very protected. I was very exposed. I was given the best resources, and my parents really allowed me to be who I came here to be, So like to even just kind of like to lay the foundation of like who I am, and I'm very solid on who I am as an individual. So it's like this is why I'm like super excited to talk about this conversation and have just talking about metaphysics and everything, because this is me, this is my zhuzh, this is my thing. So I'm just like,
yes.
So kind of like to start off, I'm a third generation entrepreneur from Wichita, Kansas. I'm a mother of a 17-year-old legend. That's how I speak to my son. Like he's a legend. Like he knows he's a legend. He came here to do big stuff. So that's how I talk to my child.
Come on now.
I am the CEO of Circa81 Design. It's a full service energetic design studio, and we focus on transforming the synergy in your life and home. And I consider myself a soul architect. I'm a healer. I'm very multidimensional, spiritual teacher and mentor. So, and also I'm a design engineer. So right now I'm finishing up my master's in engineering. And my big thing and my soul mission, my soul blueprint here is very crossed. So a lot of my magic work is in the home. It's in the home, it's in your life, it's in your business. I get to spiritually teach people stuff. I'm here to help usher in the new golden age.
Yes.
Really talk about the Sophionic Christos teachings that is embodied in our DNA. So like that's me. And then I'm the oldest of 4 children. And what else? Like I've lived in 4 different states. And I love life. And I want to say this too. I'm the happiest I have been in my entire life. And I'm a really happy person.
Yes.
But I'm quick to say this, like I'm the happiest I've been because part of my journey was, what if I don't do what I came here to do? Like that was where my depression came from and how I got here, sitting with my therapist. I was like, what if I don't do what I came here to do? And you only get one life, and you have to think about it. People are not doing what they were called here to do. And the more we have people to step into their mission, their blueprint, that gives other people the permission to like do it, like, and that raises the consciousness. That makes us to really step in, to move, to bring in, how you say it, anchor in the more heaven on earth, which is the new earth that's coming in. So I feel like that kind of answers the question.
I mean, 100% answers the question, because essentially that's my vision as well, is to help lift humanity, to help 100 million, hundreds of millions of Earth citizens rise in consciousness, because I too am, you know, a product of such pouring into, very similar to you, our background. You mentioned the conventions, that I feel so full that it has to be shared with the world. And that's what
Yeah.
enlightenment truly is. And so I love that. I love that. Well, I would just love to know a little bit more about your business. So you talked about how you had this beautiful upbringing, how it made you focus more deeply on who you were and what you can bring to this world. How did that
Mhm.
manifest into a design firm? Because I think for so many folks, it's just like, okay, we're turning our passion to purpose. But what did
Yeah.
that really look like for you? Because it's really not easy for people to find alignment in that way.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's just start here. One, I knew at 5 that I came here to do something big, right?
Yes.
Design has always been my thing. But when I graduated from Jackson State, that's where I went to school. I was going off to focus on fashion in New York, but at that time I knew I was pregnant.
Mm.
And when I got to New York, I didn't tell my family I was pregnant until I was in New York, because they would have been like, keep your behind in Kansas. And so I get to New York, I'm doing this internship, I'm getting sick. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just go home. And I was like, I can come back to my dreams later.
Mm.
So while I'm at home, I'm just like working for family. In the midst that I go through my Saturn return, which it goes through a really bad breakup. Then I end up moving to Los Angeles. But in the midst of that, with me having my son, I was sitting at home and I was like, I wanted to open up a retail store. And
Mm.
then at the time I was sitting home. I mean, I had it all. So let me just preface this. Circa 81 was a retail. I expanded it for me to do design, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Evolved more. It evolved. Like, I had a children's store that I launched in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I really kind of stepped away from it because of the supply chain. We ended up starting going into the pandemic. Oh my gosh, running a luxury children's brand it's a lot of money. And it's a lot of money when everybody, and it's so funny because I had this conversation on Facebook, when everybody wants fast fashion,
Yeah.
want sustainable fashion. And I believe in quality. I believe in, what I'm selling, like the integrity behind it, how it's made, the history behind it. Like, I'm that type of person. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna really step away from this because I really want to design children's furniture. And
Mm.
then it turned into me going back to school to work on my skills, get a trade, which the teacher was like, this is engineering. I'm like, this is engineering? I'm like, oh my God, I love engineering, but I never really knew a lot of engineers. I knew a lot of dentists, doctors, and lawyers.
Same. And
And
it
I'm just
also
like,
depends on your region.
yeah. And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
engineers do so much,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they really affect our everyday, like a lot of things that people don't know that engineers have invented, and engineers behind it.
Mm.
So I was like, man, I can go deeper in this. And then I was already designing. I had a friend and he was like, you know what? You just need to start sketching. So, but to
Okay.
bring it back to the metaphysics part of it, I've
Mm-hmm.
always been a very spiritual person, right? Someone who grew up in the Roman Catholic Church, which, to be honest, is very,
Sis,
like, very
me
witchy.
too.
Very, yeah, you already know. So it's like
Yes.
you
And
have
Black
both
Catholic is
sides.
unique too.
Yeah, you have both sides, but then you get the truth.
Mm.
You get that part of it, but then
Mm.
you get the truth. You discover the truth of why they do some of the things in the Catholic Church, or why they've kind of like downplayed women so much. You
Come
get
on
that
now.
truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am in the midst of all this, and I'm doing my spiritual work in the background. I'm doing work with friends and stuff, like mother blessings, and doing some other healing work, and just doing some other stuff, just rediscovering my divinity and going deeper into it. And at the same time, I was trying to heal my own nervous system because I had suffered from burnout. I was just all over the place. I ended up packing up my stuff, moving back to Kansas. And in the midst of that, I was working with an acupuncturist. I was working with mentors. I was going to therapy. work with shamans. And then like 2020, no, 2020, 2017 was when it was 2016 to 2017. Like I got on the phone with this coach and she was talking about human design. And I know, are you familiar with human design? Are you familiar with human design?
I'm familiar with different types of design thinking, but please share more about this human design.
Okay, so human design is this synthesis of like astrology, Kabbalah, I Ching, and it's like, you know what somebody tried to call it, but it really isn't. They call it like the energetic Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
But it's not. Because those tests are very conscious based. They're very like, it's only one layer. Like human design is going to get your unconscious and your conscious, and it takes your birthday, it takes astrology, it gives you the energetic roadmap of your aura of like your genius, why you are who you are. And then there's 5 different energy types, and everybody is here to do different things. Like I am here really as a guide and a seer, as a projector. I'm a projector, right? So I'm really truly here to guide and see. I'm really the seer. I can look at people. I can be with somebody in 30 minutes and really tell you where you need to remap your life, re-engineer, or reverse engineer it like easily. And then of course I have my own background, psychic abilities and all the good stuff, right? 2016, I discovered human design and Kundalini yoga. And I started doing Kundalini yoga, and that, not even probably, it took me through the roof. Like I started like, they say when you do Kundalini yoga, you have to be careful because it can dismantle your entire life.
Yeah.
And it dismantled my entire life.
Ooh.
To the point it was like, I was like, I ain't come here to be no healer. I'm like, how does healers make money? Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, how am I gonna make money as a healer? I'm like, I'm just trying to design furniture and be out here and be this person. And I'm like, yeah, I'm spiritual, but like, how am I supposed to make money with that? And,
Sis, so I feel like you're me. Like this is this was like a whole awakening for me, y'all. This is a whole awakening moment. Yeah, y'all don't even realize.
Make money with that. And then it's like, at the same time, I don't think I even really cared what my family thinks, because they're like, it's Amber, she gonna do whatever.
Yeah,
you know what
okay, I'm saying? Yes, definitely.
But the thing about it is when we stepped into 2020, I was like, okay, it's time to go to India, because India, I've just been pulled to India and Egypt my entire life.
Of course.
And I booked my ticket. I was like, I'm going to India. It's going down. Girl, you know, we was hearing about the pandemic, and it was like, I was like, girl, I ain't worried about that, because I don't get caught up in all this. I was like, I don't worry about that. I was like, I will get on this plane and go. I don't care if people, I just don't care. Girl, God had other plans.
Yes.
I woke up the next morning, my whole flight was like canceled. They had me flying to Saudi Arabia for a whole week and then fly to India for one day and coming back. So it was like, it's not time for you to go to India. And I was like, real God, I'm like, what is it time you want me to go deeper? And I was like, it's time for me to go deeper. And I just so happened to, one of my friends online who she does this work, goddess mastery work, because that's another part of the work I do. She had a goddess circle, and I was like, I need to be in there. It was never like a question of what to do. So I got in there, and I was just telling her, when I was in the circle with women, I was just like, I was like, how am I going to merge design and spirituality together? How am I going to merge this? How am I going to do all this design and all this stuff in the home? And I was already doing like feng shui and Vastu Shastra, but I was like, how am I going to package this?
Yeah.
And to be honest, now looking back at it, that wasn't my thing to try to figure out. You know what I'm saying? Because it naturally just happened. When I say like people come up to me, I sometimes don't even talk about that I do this work, and people are like, I need you to do the work in my home. And it was interesting because I was working with an astrologer, and she was just like, you're supposed to make money in the home. That's your gift. Like, and I was like, I love design. I've always loved design, and I love furniture and all those things and designing. And it was just, everything was just flowing. And then there was that piece of me I started to bring my own goddess circles to my community, and I was working with women calling back their, stepping into accepting their divine inheritance, and really tapping into their birthright as a feminine, because a lot of women do not understand how powerful they are. Women do not understand. And one of the things that I've learned in this lifetime, that I came back this lifetime to really be in my full power. Doesn't matter how it looks like to anybody, but I came back and to be in my full power. And it's like, it's beautiful to see where I am now in the last 2-3 years, because it's like, it was lonely. It was lonely on this path. And it's like, my soul tribe just came out of everywhere. It's like, especially online. And he's like, I reconnected with you. Everybody's just coming out of line, and they're just like, I see you, sister. I see you, sister. Like, I want to work with you, sister. Or like, I want to be in your energy. I want to just be like, I want to learn from you. And it's just like doing more of my own, stepping deeper into my own healing work individually, because you think you've tipped part of the iceberg stepping into doing the spiritual work, but there's way more work. Healing just goes in layers. And I've just tapped, like one of my mentors says, there's layers and flavors. I've only tapped barely this much of what, what I'm saying, I have to like learn in this lifetime. I mean, like, where I am from last year to now, the information that's come out of my being and my DNA that I just like, or if I'm being taught, or if it's becoming more crystal clear and I'm able to teach it, is crazy. Because you're like, how did I know this? But and I want to say this because like somebody's out there listening, a lot of us took vows when we came back in this lifetime to deny ourselves to step into our soul mission, to even our power, like especially in the Black community, because I love to talk on that. We don't understand how powerful we are, and a lot of us have taken a vow of poverty, a vow of hatred for one another. I mean, we can no longer, we have those constructs and everything, but a lot of us took these vows, and some of us chose that we're going to awaken at this time. We're going to have these experiences. And for me, it was like, even though I'm about to be 41 this week, and it took me to this point, I am glad that I went through all these experiences, because I wouldn't be able to get up and share like on this platform right now.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be able to share these things with you. Yeah. So I think I did a little spiel on how my business and all of this spirituality kind of played into it. It's crazy how it's just looking back on it, you only look back to see how far you've come, but I'm like, I did all of that, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, since this is about metaphysics, let's talk about that metaphysically, sis, because that is such an amazing awakening to have. I love to talk about Black consciousness, because what we did, you said it yourself, we chose this path. So for us to ever doubt our ancestries that they didn't choose slavery for whatever that vow of tenure was, so that we could really understand the nuances of what it means to be abused and struck and downtrodden and suffering. So we had to, like, this is what consciousness evolved. Consciousness wants to experience every level of existence possible. So if there is any classification of human beings that can manage that level of destituteness, for lack of better words, it would be the melanated people.
Yes.
So for me, I find so much value in knowing the full breadth of my history. Obviously, we talked about our ancient Kemetic, ancient Indian roots, ancient Egyptian roots, and to see that rise and then that tumble, then like, I can do anything. Like, this is nothing like what I've ever experienced before. And on top of that, I'm a light being. So I chose all of these paths. Yes. And so when you have that freedom and knowing your breadth of agency, it just makes the life so much more brighter.
It sure
so
does.
much more brighter.
Yeah, it sure does, you know. And you know what? Also, I think it's very important too. Like I have my own spiritual mentor that I work with. I work with a divine feminine and divine masculine. My mentor, she's a divine feminine leader, which is very important. Divine feminine leadership is on the rise, and it's so much about it. Her lineage is Asian. And so she even said to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, which is so beautiful. She is like, melanated people are powerful. And if you don't know that, even one of my other friends is a teacher, she's Egyptian, and she was like, if you're a spiritual teacher and you don't even recognize that, I don't even know if I really can learn from you. And that because you're not recognizing us, why people fear us, and what we had to go through, and why we suffer so much, you know. And I'm grateful that I discovered her. She actually, like, we just found each other on, she was my Facebook friend, and it was just crazy how it happened. And last year I've been initiated as a priestess.
Beautiful.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, and so
Blessings.
my whole life has just changed, and I just love I love teaching. I love teaching history. It makes sense why in school I was the one who knew all the Black history, the Black girl at the white school who knew all the Black history.
All my projects I had to do, if we had to do them on our own, my mom made me do them on Black people every time.
Mm-hmm.
Science project, history project. So I feel you. I feel that energy.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, like, you know, in these last couple of years, we've seen this rise in the Black community, support Black business. And I was like, I've been doing that since birth. Like, you know, especially, you know, when our parents, like, you know, especially like in my family and being a third generational business owner, like, that's what we do. We taught you support your people.
Yes.
Just like any other culture supports their people, you support. It's natural. It's not something I'm just like, I don't look at Black business and be like, oh, I'm not going to support them because of Black. No, I want to support them. Like, I want to commend you, because it takes a lot of courage to do this when a lot of people have been, and we have to understand, not everybody's supposed to be a boss.
Come on now. I am the biggest advocate for that, especially at this stage in my journey. I never thought I would be an advocate against everyone being entrepreneurs, but I'm not against it. But I certainly agree that we have a place in every place in society, in institutions, in corporations, in organizations, as well as in entrepreneurship and leadership. But everyone needs to play their role.
You need to play their role. And you can be an inner entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, like, I didn't think they don't stress that enough. Like, you can be an inner entrepreneur. You don't always have to be an entrepreneur, because this entrepreneur life is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
I'm just coming out of you know, the business cycle. You went to business school, you know, like, I'm just coming out of my business cycle, and I'm just like, you know, this was a doozy, but if I got through this, I can get through anything.
Yes.
And I know not everybody's can do what I just went through, and be able to be so well resourced mentally, not even just speaking financially, but to be able to find the resources to stay afloat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have all the financial, but if you don't know how to manage that, like, you won't be able to stay afloat. So I'm not a big advocate of pushing everybody to be an entrepreneur. I'm not.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Well, you know, the nugget that I can take from that certainly is just the idea of just knowing of yourself and knowing where you need to be in your role that you need to play in whatever you're doing. So right now it's obvious that you're doing the Circa81 design, but can you speak more a little bit to like what a project looks like? So you talked a little bit about human design, but I want to understand, like, what would something be like an engagement with you look like?
Okay, so there's so many different ways that you can work with me inside my business. Like, one is like my favorite, like, I'm about to start a new project right now where I'm hired to come in. She just bought a brand new house. So it's an old model, and she wants me to create this harmony in the home. So, you know, it's very important because, like I said, your childhood, where you start, it's a new starter home. Creating that synergy in their life and home so their marriage can flow. Like, feng shui and Vastu Shastra, if you have the wrong placements in your bedroom, it can be detrimental to your money. in your marriage. You know what I'm saying? There's so many, just the placements of how furniture is in your house, just the placement of clearing certain energies in the home, which I'm able to do those things. I'm able to go into a home and clear energies in it. Like, matter of fact, I just did a clearing for my sister. She's a real estate. One of her clients, they could not get the house closed for a month. And she was like, she hit me up on text message. She was like, we need you to come in. How much? And so I went into the house and cleared it, and they closed within like 5 days. I can't tell you everything I do in there, but like, yeah, we move some things around. We move whatever stagnant energy, in the aura of the house, or whatever the foundation, whatever the house was. The house was holding some stuff, and she had some stuff, and we just kind of like moved it around so they could get the house closed. And she closed on the house in 5 days. But this new project that I'm taking on it's interior. I do interior design, but it's with my own feel. It's like my gifts, reading the home, just really creating synergy in the home so it can flow. A lot of the homes nowadays that are being built, they're not sustainable. They don't take into mind the structure of how they built the floor plans of the homes. We really want to say the floor plans of our homes. If you look at older homes, and you just you step into an older home that's been around for some time, there's probably neighborhoods in Houston that are just like these really, really nice, darling neighborhoods where you just like, you see the families and everything. But these homes nowadays, like, they don't carry those structures or that energy of it. And you have to understand, like, especially in India and Egypt, that's why it's like, I'm so drawn to Egypt, is because of the pyramids. And the Egyptians were their original architects and engineers. So, I really come into that home and really engineer the energy in there. So I have that project that I'm about to start on, and I've been doing that for a while. Like, I pick up projects. Like, at first I was kind of really focusing on coaching people, but my world is, I'm really coaching and mentoring people in their homes too.
Yeah, that's a beautiful gift.
Yeah. And then also there's that consulting piece of it where I get to also, I'm about to take on a new project where I'm working with a construction company, and they're doing business development and project management. One of my geniuses is I'm a coordinator in human design. So I'm really good at coordinating, creating processes and structures. That's where that industrial engineering comes in. So I get to do that, and I know that I'll probably get to do a little bit of creativity in it too with the guy that owns the company. And then it's like, what else? So like, and then there's the mentorship that I do in my business. But the mentorship, it really plays in the home design. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause really, when I do a consultation with you, I'm gonna run your human design. I'm gonna look at your astrology. I look at all that stuff. And there's certain things in your human design that tells you about your environment. So you could have everything right and you be in the wrong environment for yourself. You understand what I'm saying? And once you get over 30, especially in human design, environment plays a huge part in how you live. And you could see also when we were in the pandemic, there was a surge of furniture buying, of people, interior designers getting work because people don't like to be at their home really if it's not really flowy. And like for me growing up in my home, and my mom, me and her actually have the same Venus. She's a Venus in Cancer in the 4th house, and I'm a Venus in Cancer in the 4th house. That has to do with the aesthetics, interior design. And so my home, I grew up with very beautiful home, beautiful fabrics, beautiful childhood home rooms, playrooms. Like we just, it's just like that was my mom's thing. And so I always was like, maybe everybody lives like this, but everybody doesn't live like that. And during the pandemic, people were like, I don't like the way everything is. And I actually had a client that I did last year, and she brought me in to redo her, because she was working from home, her entire living room and office. Her living room was like her office area. So I went in there and redid everything. And in the end, when I was doing the home clearing, she was in the second year of a marriage with her husband, and they were having some things going on, and really went in there, and then they started coming to me for like spiritual advice. And I'm just like, yeah, this all plays into it, just really moving those energies around in their house and really clearing up some stagnant areas that helps them to move forward in their marriage, to create that energy and harmony.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's so amazing. I mean, you really kind of walked us through every aspect of how you work in these spaces, and just moving furniture, I'm sure you using incense and sage and prayers and rituals and all kinds of things. But I mean, that just sounds like a beautiful opportunity to just lift the vibration of your space. Cause obviously, like you said, you lift the vibration, it serves your whole being. And I didn't realize after the age of 30 that was a thing specifically, but it makes sense. I know that during the pandemic, I had moved back to my childhood home. So I was in my childhood home. My dad unexpectedly transitioned in 2017. And then my mom, a few months later, actually fell really sick. She actually attempted suicide. And it became like a catalytic moment for me to just kind of shut down my life and move home. Like I literally felt like I did that. It was kind of like my Saturn return, like you mentioned that. And that was really that season for me in a way, in so many ways. I actually got pregnant with my son. So I was caring for my mom and bearing this baby kind of in a similar kind of grief moment, but also seeing such beauty and opportunity in the moment, because then COVID happened. I started doing metaphysical psychology. And that's really how I started to study and grow, my journey to metaphysics. And I honestly was a self-study. Like people are like, oh, where'd you study, your metaphysics? And, it's totally, especially then, self-taught.
Like when people are saying like, all this information is like I said, the Sophionic crystals information is in our DNA.
Yes.
The more you start to peel back those layers from the healing, most of the time people step into this because something traumatic happened. You see traumatic experience in your life. It calls you to go inward to that inward journey. And you're like, okay, what is this? I'm going to pull on this. I'm tapping in my divinity. How do I know these things? And you know what? And I was saying before we got on here, I wouldn't be surprised, Erin, if you are a projector. I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of the healers are projector, or if you're not even a projector, you have something in your sixth line. And like in human design, like I'm a 4/6. So like there's the fourth line is my conscious, like what I am, people see. And then the sixth line is what's unconscious. So the sixth line has to do with, okay, how do you say this? You know what you think you know. Like, it for a reason. Like there's a reason why you can navigate through these things and not question like, well, how did I know that? Because people are like, how do you know this? How do you know all these things? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it is because, and I'm just like, this is my sixth line.
Tapped in.
Like, that's just what it is. And so we're forced to go into this inward journey to get the answers to the questions that people cannot give us on the outside.
Pretty much.
So of course it's a self story. It's called self-mastery. You're mastering yourself constantly.
Totally.
And that's also the journey of the goddess, figuring out and knowing who you are at the end of the day. The goddess, really, to tell the truth, because a lot of people out here are calling themselves goddesses. And yes, the goddess is within you. But the goddess journey is a dark journey. It's a dark journey. And you start to discover things about yourself that you're like, I don't like that. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, who you come out, and I mean, just to like piggyback off of your journey of like who I am, I was going down like a path that I didn't like. But when I started to really do the work, people be like, my best guy friend be hitting me up. He was like, man, people be asking, you seen Amber Williams? Like, what's she doing? What is different? People just showing up like something's different about you. And I know you probably hear that like, Erin, what is different about you? You were always this bubbly, larger than life, but it's something that's different, right? And it's that light that you pulled from going into the darkness, because what's in the dark got to come to the light, you know? So, I mean, like, that's how we get there, doing this self-work. So it's like, just to confirm from you, like, yes, self-study. That's the best way to do it. Life experience, you know?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Yeah, so that self-study is really kind of what drew me into metaphysics, and more practically, more scientifically, more strategically. And, you know, it seems you kind of did that same kind of integration of metaphysics with something that you already were doing: fashion, retail, interiors, design. But now I'm able to integrate metaphysics into my design style or design method, such that it infuses the experience with energy. So you're left a higher conscious being just by engaging with me in this engagement period.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's when you talk about that mentorship, when you talk about that part, that aspect of the business that's almost like unqualifiable, because it's infinite. You know what I'm saying? You're engaging with the light being. And I really love that concept. I just have to share that.
Yeah. See, you know, and this metaphysics is really, to put it in it's the unknown.
Yes.
It's the unknown. And one of the things that my teacher taught me in calculus, because he was a physics major, is like, physics is math in motion, and consciousness is math. And when you understand numbers, like, you understand consciousness, you understand everything. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you think about also how in the Black culture, like, we were the true scientists. We were, you know, the Egyptians, Africa, we were the one building, like, you know,
the
I don't
human
know, they don't talk
form.
about Pangea. You remember learning about Pangea in school?
Yes.
And they don't talk about it anymore. Like, everything comes from Africa. Like, we are the original. And we've had that stuff stripped away from us. That's why you don't see a lot of Black kids in STEM and stuff, because math is hard. They don't understand it. You know, they don't understand math and science, but like, we are the scientists. I can't wait till we see a change. And I know change is ahead of us, because we have to destroy before we rebuild. So we have to get to the worst before we even rebuild. You know what I'm saying? And there's people like you and I who are already doing the rebuilding for people. When we're having these conversations for people, when we're having these conversations, is people are looking for these conversations constantly. I had somebody inbox me, she was like, is there a book you can read? I'm like, honey, start your healing journey.
Right. I was literally going to ask you that, because someone asked me, like, what book would you recommend if I'm trying to explore this? And I'm just like, sis, like, you look at my bookshelf, like, I read all these books. Like, you got to read all the books. You know what I'm saying? You also have to do the healing as well. But you're right. It doesn't start with the intellectual aspect of it. It starts with the feeling. And so you really aren't going to get it from just reading a book. You have to go through the journey. You have to go through the experience.
Yeah.
You have to feel what it feels like, to your point, to be in that darkness.
Yeah. And really, the book is inside of you. It's called the Akasha Records.
Come on now.
That's the book. Those are the books. And I don't know if anybody has ever had have you ever had Akasha
I've had
record?
Akashic, yeah, and I also have someone who taps in the source in their readings too. So I've had a few different types.
Akasha Records, and actually my mentor is going to teach me how to do it. I mean, I know I already tap into it already, because I do a lot of channeling. But when I had my Akasha Records read, what, girl? I was like, oh, this explains why I have sisterhood wounds. It explains, you know, and I talk about that a lot, especially with Black women. We have these sisterhood wounds that are very, very deep. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, and I had to do that work, because you can't be in divine feminine leadership and not heal that. You don't heal those mother wounds. And it's not, and sometimes those mother wounds are not just playing out in the relationship with your mother. It's just the mother in general, which it's way deeper than what you think, you know what I'm saying? And so sisterhood wounds, if you don't heal those, you're not able to really even do this work on a larger level. You know what I'm saying? You'll be triggered by anything a woman's doing that's bigger than you, when you really should be learning with her, or you should be teaming up with her. You see how me and you are teaming up together. Like if I was somebody who really hadn't done that work, I'd be like, girl, I don't want to team up with her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, we're all playing our parts. We all have individual gifts. So we're all playing our part, and there's a part for everyone to play, you know?
Yes. And that's a level of consciousness, that sisterhood wound. Like that's a level of competition. That's a level of fear and anxiety. And so it's going to manifest as that competition with people who are like, and it's painful. That hurts. It really does. And as you say it, I feel that healing around that personally. And it took me some time because I had some really deep wounds from having lost my sister. My sister was murdered when I was 6.
Okay.
And then I sought that energy from every other girlfriend I met after that. Like everyone was my sister after that. And I desired that sister love. And obviously people don't have the capacity to give you that sister love at that level, especially when they're not your sister.
We're looking at you like, you would look at people like, why do you feel like that way of me? Like, I just want to be your friend. I just want to support you. I want to have this sister hug. And and it hurts when you do, because I feel that like one of the things I've learned in my work is like my prosperity. And we have to understand prosperity is not money, guys. Prosperity comes from celebrating people.
Yes.
And everyone always look at me crazy because I'm just like, I be on the internet like, girl, go. Yes, you did that. You know, guys, whatever. I'm just a supportive person. I love to celebrate people. And that's where my prosperity comes from, celebrating people. And so I can totally feel that, you know, that right there can have a wound itself when people reject you, when you want to just embrace them and they don't know how to receive it.
Pretty much. They don't have the capacity to. And that's where the forgiveness comes in. So the forgiveness is so important of ourselves, because we're essentially like judging ourselves in that process. Like, oh, there's something wrong with me, why she treats me like this. Or there's something, because if there's something wrong with her, that's something that you elect, that you see in yourself. So it becomes this forgiveness of, okay, Erin, you're okay by yourself. You don't have to be loved by everybody, you know, and everyone certainly doesn't have to love you, you know, so it's just, you really have to nurture that longing within, because all it is just a longing for deeper connection. And that connection can only come from self, can only come from source.
Yeah, that's so true. That is, I felt that one right there. When you said that, it's a longing, but you know what? People only can meet you as deep as they are in themselves. You know what I'm saying? And people like you and I, because I had a friend tell me, she's like, girl, you be deep sometimes, too deep. And I had a guy friend, he was like, man, I have to take you in doses, Amber, because you know, sometimes you'll get on there and just be deep. I might not even be talking about stuff, but then like the conversation will just go deep. That's just me.
That's me.
And I have to be around people that are okay with, sometimes we might have to get on their scuba gear and go deep dive in the ocean.
I love it.
And you know, and I'm grateful that I have a tribe of people, and I'm grateful I have my spiritual mentor where she was like, that's power, depth. Because a lot of people in this world lack depth. You know what I'm saying? We're in this abyss of a hole because people lack depth, you know, depth. People say they want these healthy relationships, but in order to create a healthy relationship,
you got to open up.
You got to open up. You have to intimacy. You have to dive into intimacy, and intimacy is very messy. But when you get and you crack that, you peel back that layer, like you can have the most amazing, beautiful relationship with somebody. But you have to be willing to go deep diving, you know?
Yes. And luckily I'm in a space now that I am able to also do the deep dive with people and accept whatever their reaction may be to it. Because I think that's what this healing journey is about now, is that we have to present ourselves to people. We build our clients through this by sharing. We build our families through sharing. We build all our relationships through this sharing. So it's actually incumbent upon us to be that heart opener in sharing who we are. And that takes a very depth, I guess it's like in-depth love for self to be able to see like, this is not, I have these things, but this is not me. And that's why being able to, you know, greet each other as light beings and see each other in our dimensional, multidimensional aspects, our metaphysical aspects, allow us even to transcend our you know, our race conversations, our, you know, our gender conversations, because we're really occupying a broader, bigger space. And I really love that you get to spend every day doing that and sharing that. And I'm just wondering, you know, as you interact with other people in your space, like you talked about, you work with shamans, you talked about you work with these other teachers, share what that looks like, because I did the same thing. But for people who don't know the first step to take, like, what are you asking for in this manifestation of these people in your life?
So, okay, like I probably want to talk about, so when I worked with my acupuncture and I had a calling to acupuncture, I was having digestive issues. I was having anxiety, depression. I was having just a lot of root causes, and I was already in Chinese medicine. So I was like, this is the next step. And I knew I had to work with somebody who would specialize in Chinese medicine. And so she really did heal a lot of it. But when I went to her and I was saying to her in 2018, I was like, I want to prepare myself for another baby, because I know I'm going to have another baby. But I didn't know that it was going to be birthing and opening up meridian and channels of my soul blueprint. Like that.
Okay, you wasn't ready for that.
Perfect. Like that was really the birthing, you know, and
exactly.
When you're doing acupuncture, you're working with the spirit, you're working with chi energy. And so that's life force energy. And especially like in Reiki, because I'm a Reiki practitioner, we are a guide between heaven and earth. So we're this channel that connects heaven and earth with people. And so that's one thing. And then I was working with a shaman, and they were like, I came to find out that I was having a lot of problems with my root chakra. And so they did something on that. But I want to preface this that you really need to do your research before you really start working with people, because out here now, since we're in the age of Aquarius, there's so many people out here that are like, I do this work. You really need to do your research on who you work with. And so now I work with my spiritual mentor now. And when I tell you, she's next level. And how we started working with each other was I stepped in this, and I can say this. I stepped into this. I met this person that I already knew, and we had an experience. And I was like, do I need to focus on getting married, or do I need to hire a sales coach so I can become a better salesperson? And I was sitting there and I was like, no, I really want to be in a healthy relationship, you know? And I was like, and I'm going to do this for me now because I'm ready to do it. I always knew I was going to get married, but it was like, for me, I was really running away from doing the work, you know? So she popped up and we talked, and like my mentor, when I just said, like, have you ever heard of Harold Gamos? This is Harold Gamos, is where you are coming into the unified of your divine feminine and your divine masculine energies. They become one, because we always look at them as like two separate things, but they both unify and they both support each other. Where it's like that inner feminine, your inner masculine, they're supporting each other. Where, you know, a lot of women suffer from wounded feminine, and we see a lot of women blaming stuff for men, but they have a lot of inner conflict in their body, or inner wounds. But then at the same time, a lot of women are not safe with men, and we know that a lot of men have abused women's bodies, and there's so much trauma and stuff like that. So I won't go deep into Harold Gamos, but that's a lot of the work she does, and she helps divine feminine leaders step into their leadership. And so leadership is huge with me. And since I'm a spiritual teacher and all that good stuff and the soul work that I do in the home, you know, we started working with each other, and I started doing more of my ancestral and generational work. And when I tell you, Erin, it's deep. It's deep. I mean, like in March, the end of February to March, I cried every single day. And it's not my stuff. It's not my stuff. I may think it's my stuff. It's generational. It's stuff my mom didn't work with. It's stuff my great grandma, like my ancestors, and doing wealth work. They're calling my wealth blueprint, because wealth is bigger than just money. It's family, it's legacy. It's it's prosperity. It's bigger than that.
Yes.
And so this work that I've been doing now is next level. Okay. Next level, it's upgrading DNA, light bodies. Like, that's the type of work I'm doing. And people are like, what are you doing in the house? And I'm like, girl, sometimes I just be in there crying. And I really haven't cried anymore. And I lost like almost 20 pounds, because it's like there's the stubborn weight that was holding on, because a lot of it's trauma that I was holding. And I'm really a small person anyway, but me just losing a lot of weight, it's a huge difference. And then I'm able to even just step into my relationships with my people and be able to have that sacred communication with them, because I've really learned how to speak to people in a way where, it is in alignment with my being. And so people hear me, like you're hearing me now. And it's like, I'm really speaking from my being, from my essence. It's not just me just saying stuff off the wall. Like, this is really me, and I'm embodied in everything that I have learned and really healed from. And so I can get up here and speak from it and be okay. Like, no matter how somebody reacts to it, or like they may not believe it. And I'm like, okay, well, this is my experience, and I'm just sharing it in my truth. And you either resonated with it or not, and that's okay. And I'm fine if you find me weird.
Yes. Yes.
Or it's just like, I have to do this work. Like, I told my mentor, I said, I couldn't turn around if I wanted to. I'm too deep in. I'm too deep in, girl.
Right.
I'm too deep in. Like,
where would you go if you turned around, though? You just be with yourself still.
What I do, girl, I don't even know what else I would do,
Right.
And I just know that I'm super supported by my ascended masters, the divine, my angels. I'm just in my ancestors, in my dragons, because I didn't even talk about them. They're gonna be like, you didn't talk about us today. And
my God.
And so I just know that I'm super supportive. So it's so funny, because it's like, I do this work. It's still science-based work, because all this stuff is science, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But some people are like, it's woo-y. And I'm like, it's not really woo-y, it's life. You're just been told that it is woo. You've been told to not tap into it. Because when you do tap into it, you open a can of worms and you start learning the truth. And people sometimes don't want to deal with the truth.
Yeah. Yes, it hurts for real. Like, you can feel it in your body. And so that's what I love, that it seems like you're experiencing it in your new modality of how to integrate the masculine, the feminine, the body into the light being experience, which is the integration is beautiful.
Well, you said that right there. That was it. That felt good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like we've already come to our hour, or close to our hour. And I just want to ask you like one last question, just like, where do you see, your journey going? You say you're a seer, or you mentioned that as being part of one of your gifts. So, maybe something about what you see for yourself, maybe what you see for the collective.
So I already know. 10 years from now, I will be a developer. And maybe earlier, maybe more than that, helping to build more sustainable homes for the new earth.
Yes.
And really teaching women, teaching men, helping, like, not only am I a soul architect, a family architect for the new family that's coming in, a new family architect that's coming in that we're rebuilding.
Yes.
I'm going to be doing all that work. And no telling what else will come from it, but I'm just preparing myself for what's to come, because it's like we have so much change happening every single day, and people need answers. And I get to show up and give people answers and answer questions for them, and really guide them, because a lot of people do need guides on this journey.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that answers the question. Yeah.
100%.
And also in the future, and I'm speaking this now, I will be in a healthy, loving relationship in a divine union with my partner, and maybe another baby will come through. I just want to speak that right there. Yeah. Because I love motherhood. Like, oh my God, I love being a mom. I love being mom. Oh my God, I do. It's the greatest gift.
Yes. Well, I touch and agree on that vision with you, sister. I see it for you as well, all of those things and more. And thank you so much for speaking on wealth. This obviously is a meta business podcast. So we're focusing on business and beyond what we know of profits and money and things like this. So wealth goes and extends well beyond the profits. Prosperity extends well beyond the money. So I love that you amplified those concepts as well today. Tell us how we can stay in touch with you, book a session with you. I mean, can you fly to Houston and do projects? Like, how does that work? Like, I'm like, I need to look at my home.
Girl, I can do it all. I come to you all. Like, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I am Amber Williams. You can go to Circa81 Design, and then you can book a session with me, or you can email me there, or you can email me at Amber@Circa81 Design. I am taking on new clients. We can always do a deep dive in your human design first. I'd also do like a healing strategy session with people where like maybe you don't want to go full on yet into mentorship. We could do that. I mean, there's so many ways. I feel like once you start working with me on one thing, it's kind of like, I'm diving a little bit more and let me have you doing my life. Let me have you do my home. It's like, then it's like, help me with my family. So there's there's layers, how they say, our product suite of how you can work with me. But on Circa81design.com, you can schedule something with me. Yeah, or just send me a message on Instagram.
That's so great. That's so great. Yeah. And what's your Instagram?
I am Amber Williams.
Okay. I am Amber Williams, you all. You heard it from her. And I, again, am just so honored, so blessed to have had this reconnection with you, a childhood friend, connecting in the metas. Come on now, on Meta, in the metas.
Everything
everything's meta. And now we are continuing our journey together as soul sisters, soul healers, earth healers, mama healers. That's what earth is, mama. And so I love you. Thank you so much.
I love you too. Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatten.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.